Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of RTHD. In this episode, I want to talk about the new DJI product, the DJI Osmo Action. So stay tuned, coming now. Guys, so just a disclaimer, before you become a Oompa Loompa and start disliking this video, I don't actually have the Osmo Action Camera, and that's because it has only been released today and only big YouTubers actually got it beforehand to review it and so forth. So I've been looking at some of the reviews and so forth, and I have to say, I'm thinking of purchasing an action camera, and this is my view on what's going to happen, so stay tuned. All right, so the first thing I think that most people want to figure out is whether this thing is worth it in terms of what features it has and so forth compared to all the other action cameras that are outside there, particularly of course the Sony GoPro, which is the most popular action camera out there at the moment. And so a lot of comparisons are being done between the Osmo Action and the GoPro 7, I believe. And from what I gather, the price right now on DJI's website for this new action camera is $349, which is not bad at all. Right, so the question is whether or not this camera is really worth it, this new action camera, Osmo Action versus the GoPro. I have to say that off the bat, there's some new features that the Action has that the GoPro doesn't seem to have. For example, this is not this is just a cheap often what a GoPro-like imitation clone looks like. But what the Action camera actually has is a screen to the front and also the screen to the back, which is touchscreen. So compared to the GoPro Hero, the Action camera actually has a screen that you can actually look at to the front. And so you could like line up your selfie shots and so forth. So I thought that was an actually really cool idea, because really a lot of the times if I have to buy a camera, I want to be able to see what's going on while I'm recording. For example, that's why I actually use a phone to do that, because I actually see what's happening and so forth. And so I think that that's really, really good. And now the reason why that's really, really good is because it comes directly, of course, to price, because the price is $350. And that is actually not bad when compared to the Hero. If you go and you look for the Hero on Amazon, for example, the Hero goes, I don't even think it goes for $350 US. It actually goes for about $400 and up. Well, it comes with some other items and so forth. So it depends on what you're buying and so forth. But generally speaking, the Black Edition, it comes with a few other items and so forth, but it's more expensive. So the DJI Osmo Action is actually priced at a really, really good price at this point in time. And so that is one of the really, really tempting things about it. Now, the next thing is that the Osmo Action actually comes also with something called RTHD, which basically it stabilizes. I don't know whether it does it digitally or if it does it with any sort of mechanical procedure. I think it may be digital though, but it's really, really smooth. And actually I found a video where they were comparing the both of them. And actually the RTHD was actually a bit better than the GoPro, especially the background. Like if you're holding a device, like how we're holding this device and it bounce, and you walk in like that, and you actually see that the back wasn't even bouncing on the DJI Action, Osmo Action. So I would say that that was another tempting thing about it. Now another thing about the Action is that it also comes with, I believe, about approximately an hour of battery life when it comes to 4K recording. I believe it is at 30 or 60 frames per second, which is like the highest end of recording, and it takes a lot of processing power. It means though that if you drop down the quality to something lower, maybe 1080p, you should be able to get about an hour and a half to maybe 2 hours of recording, and that is really, really good for such a small camera. When you think of such a small camera like this, I mean, the battery size is going to be small and that might limit it, but 2 hours of video footage is really, really good. I would say that for the price, $350, not bad. I wouldn't necessarily want to spend that unless I'm really, really out doing action stuff, which I'm not really doing at this point in time. But with that being said, I heard also that the Action has a way of flattening the image. So like sometimes with the GoPro and so forth, you sort of see a kind of circularized version of it's the actual lens that's causing that, so it looks a little bit like you're in a bulb. Well, apparently there's a way to get rid of that with the Action camera, so that was something really tempting as well. If I didn't have the Samsung S10e, which I paid more than $350 US for, I probably would be tempted to buy the DJI Action Osmo and actually be using that because the quality is really good, because it comes with a 12 megapixel camera. It does 4K. It does actually 4K 60 frames per second, which is really, really good as well too. It does, I believe it is 240 frames per second on 1080p, which is nice because you could slow down your videos and so forth. So it comes with a lot of features. You could actually, as I say, use it for YouTube if you want to buy something that is you know, in the relative range of cameras and not the most expensive camera. I think that it would work for basic videos and so forth. So it's something that if you don't have a camera and you want to get into YouTube, I think that it would actually work. Now, you could actually use this compared to the other DJI products that are outside there, because remember there's also the Osmo Mobile, which you could use with the camera too, that does with the phones, that does stabilization and so forth. You could also use it for that as well too. So you have a range of options from DJI that looks really, really good. I have to tell you that the majority of times DJI cameras are really they really perform well in terms of the crispness and how clean that the footage is. I don't know if it is a sensor, but I noticed this with the Mavic. I noticed this with the other DJI products that are outside there. Most of the DJI products come with the Sony sensors most of the times, and they work really, really fine. Now, what is also cool about this new version as well too is that it allows you to go into water 11 meters deep, which means it's about 30 something, 33 feet deep, which is awesome, right? Without any additional stuff. Additional casing and so forth and that kind of thing. So that's also really, really good because you know, you could take this anywhere. It's durable enough to handle water. You don't have to worry about it if you're near to water, beaches, etc. This might be better than, you know, walking around with your actual Osmo Mobile 2 and a camera, and then it falls and I'm seeing a camera, her phone, and it falls and gets wet and so forth. So that's another thing that is actually pretty good. The actual setup of using the Osmo camera, the Osmo Action, is actually going to be cheaper than buying, you know, like a Osmo Mobile and then putting up a decent Samsung phone. So it is actually a cheaper alternative. And so I wish that it came out before, but I am also interested in some of the other DJI products, like the Osmo Pocket, which is also kind of cool as well too. Of course, the Osmo Pocket is not waterproof, while the Action is. So, you know, the thing about it is so tempting to buy all these different products, but I have to say that so far, from the looks of things, the DJI Osmo Action is really, really nice. I also saw that there was a lens cover. There's actually a lens cover you could unscrew from the actual lens part as well too. So that was kind of cool too, because, you know, later on you could probably add ND filters and so forth to it as well too. So it does come with a lot of things. It also you can also control some of the settings and so forth with the new DJI app. I think that's called the Mimo app. And the Mimo app allows you to actually see what's happening on the camera. So you can actually hold up the camera, see what's going on it while you're looking at it wirelessly as well too. So that's also kind of cool as well. I'm sure you could probably record from there as well too. The only thing that I have to mention here is that, again, versus the Osmo Pocket, which has the gimbal and allows you to move around with it, of course, you will have to control where the camera is if you're using the Action, the Osmo Action instead, right? So time lapses, it actually can do time lapses, but of course it will only be able to do still time lapses. So these are the things that you have to think about. What do you want? Do you want something that is most versatile in terms of cinematic view, cinematic footage, and moving stuff, getting timeline where you move, time lapses where you move, or do you want something that's durable that can be waterproof? And I think this new product that DJI has now covers pretty much every area. They cover now every area of digital cinematography per se, because now, as I say, you have one for land, you have one that you could use for your phone, then you have the drones to do for flying. So pretty much it does a pretty good job of that as well too. Of course, the battery life, it sounds good too. It's comparable to the Osmo Pocket to some degree. And the cool thing about it too is that it has a lot of slow motion features, which I haven't really used in a lot of my videos, but I think that could be very, very useful if you want, if you're going to get epic footage and your YouTube channel is going to be all about, epic footage and, nice B-roll. Maybe that might come in depending on it. So it's definitely one of the cameras that you probably should get in your arsenal of cameras if you have, you're really working on cinematography and you're really working on that kind of stuff. We, of course, have to wait to see how durable it is. I haven't seen any durable tests as yet. But with that being said, guys, I think overall, I think that it would be something that I would buy if I had the cash. With that being said, I guess maybe later on I will, you know, maybe do buy it and probably do a review of it if I think that I need it, because actually right now I'm using a cheap GoPro clone, and that works fine, but it isn't as clean and crisp as obviously what you should be getting on one of the GoPros or one of the DJI Action. So guys, with that being said, guys, thank you so much for viewing. I hope that doesn't bore you too much. You know, the whole idea of this channel is to talk about tech. Sometimes I have the tech in hand, sometimes I don't. I'm hoping that, you know, as the channel grows, more people may be willing to send me, more of the companies will be willing to send me stuff, so I could also, of course, bring it to you guys. And with that being said, guys, thanks so much for viewing, and I'll see you guys again on another episode of RTHD coming to a YouTube screen near you. Bye.